Iran is one of the most misunderstood places on Earth. Mention the name, and most people think desert, politics, headlines. But the reality is something else entirely. There's a village where people still live inside volcanic caves, not as a museum, but as actual homes with electricity and Wi-Fi inside 700-year-old rock walls. Iran holds the hottest ground temperature ever recorded anywhere on Earth. A desert where NASA satellites measured 159 degrees Fahrenheit on the surface, hot enough that almost nothing survives. But while the south bakes under that heat, the north is covered in rainforests. Ancient forests over 50 million years old, older than the Amazon, stretching along the Caspian Sea. The country is massive, 17th largest in the world, bigger than France, Germany, and the UK combined. That size creates extremes you can experience in a single day. 4 seasons happening at the same time. In winter, you can ski on an 18,000-foot volcano while tourists sunbathe on Persian Gulf Islands a few hundred miles south. Iran sits at a crossroads that shaped human history. The Persian Empire once stretched from the Mediterranean to India, the largest the world had seen. Its influence still echoes across continents in architecture, language, gardens, and science. Most people don't know that Iran invented early algebra, that Persian carpets are still considered the finest in the world. That ice cream was likely created here over 2,000 years ago, using underground snow pits and rose water. Iran has 27 UNESCO World Heritage Sites. More than Japan, more than Egypt. The Caspian Sea to the north is the world's largest inland body of water. The Zagros Mountains run 1,000 miles through the center. Coastlines stretch over 1,500 miles along the Persian Gulf and Gulf of Oman. Yet it remains one of the least visited countries with this much to offer. This is a country where ancient empires left ruins that still defy explanation. Where volcanoes tower over those ancient rainforests, where islands glow red and purple like something from another planet. Iran doesn't fit the story most people tell about it, and that's exactly why it's worth seeing. The Lut Desert holds a record nobody wants to break. In 2005, NASA satellites measured the hottest land surface temperature ever recorded on Earth here, 159 degrees Fahrenheit, 70 degrees Celsius. Not air temperature, ground heat. Hot enough to kill almost anything that touches it. The desert stretches across 20,000 square miles in southeastern Iran. For years, scientists believed nothing could survive here. They were wrong, but barely. Microbes cling to salt crusts. Occasional insects appear after rare rains. A few nomadic groups live on the desert's edges. What makes Lut unforgettable isn't just the heat, it's what the wind has done to the land. The calots rise from the desert floor like a ruined city. These are yardangs, massive rock formations carved by thousands of years of wind erosion. Some stand over 200 feet tall, shaped into towers, ridges, and walls that look deliberately built. From a distance, they resemble ancient fortresses. Up close, the formations reveal their layers. Bands of sediment compressed over millions of years, each stripe a different shade of tan, orange, or black. Walking through the calots feels like moving through a maze designed by geology. Passages twist between walls that block the sun. Wind funnels through gaps, creating sounds from low moans to sharp whistles. The desert isn't uniform. Different sections show different faces. The Gandum Beryan Plateau, whose name means toasted wheat, is a vast expanse of dark sand and stone. The surface here is almost black, volcanic material that turns the ground into an oven. This is where those record temperatures were measured. Nothing grows. No animals venture here. Farther west, the Rigi Yalan holds massive star dunes, some reaching heights of 1,500 feet. These dunes don't migrate in one direction. Instead, they grow upward as winds hit them from multiple directions, building pyramids of sand that take thousands of years to form. Between the dunes and the calots lie salt flats so white they hurt to look at under the midday sun. The salt crusts are thick enough to walk on in some places, but step wrong and you'll break through into brine pools underneath. The desert became a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 2016, recognized for its geological significance as one of the hottest, driest places on the planet. Visiting Lut requires planning. The heat is dangerous from May through September. Most travelers come in winter when temperatures drop to merely uncomfortable. Water is scarce. Shade doesn't exist. but there's beauty in the harshness. At sunset, the kalutes turn golden, then orange, then deep red. Shadows stretch across the formations, creating shapes that shift by the minute. At night, the desert reveals why people still come, despite the danger. With no cities for hundreds of miles, no light pollution, the stars appear in impossible numbers. The Milky Way stretches overhead so clearly you can see its structure, its depth, the spaces between the stars. The Lut Desert doesn't forgive mistakes, but it shows you what Earth looks like when nature operates without compromise. Off the southern coast of Iran, in the Persian Gulf, sits the country's largest island. Chesham Island stretches over 80 miles long, but most of it remains undeveloped. No beach resorts, no hotels. Instead, the island offers landscapes that look like they belong on another planet. The Valley of the Stars sits in the island's center, a maze of rock formations carved by millennia of wind and erosion. Walking through it feels like moving through a canyon on Mars. Twisted pillars rise from the ground, some narrow as chimneys, others wide as buildings. Local legend says a star fell here and shattered the earth. Scientists point to erosion and flash floods that carved channels through soft sedimentary rock. Either way, the result is surreal. The formations create passages that wind between walls tall enough to block the sun. In some places, the canyon narrows to barely shoulder width. In others, it opens into clearings where the rock towers overhead like frozen waves. Nearby, Chaku Canyon cuts even deeper into the island. The gorge is narrow, carved from red and orange sandstone. When it rains, water collects in natural basins, creating pools that sustain desert wildlife. The island's southern coast holds another surprise. The Haram mangrove forests stretch for miles, saltwater trees rising directly from the sea. At low tide, their roots create a network of channels where herons hunt for fish. Chesham is also a UNESCO Global Geopark, recognized for its geological diversity. The island sits on ancient seabeds pushed upward over millions of years. Despite its size and easy access from the mainland, Chesham sees relatively few tourists. The island remains quiet, undeveloped, and strange in all the best ways. But just a short boat ride away lies an island even more unusual. From above, Hormuz Island looks like someone spilled paint into the ocean. The island sits just off the coast of Keshem, small enough to walk across in a few hours. But what it lacks in size, it makes up for in color. The soil here is rich in minerals, especially iron oxide, which stains the ground deep red. On the red beach, waves crash against crimson sand that looks more like rust than earth. But red is just the beginning. Walk inland and the landscape shifts through a spectrum. Hills glow yellow from sulfur deposits. Cliffs streak with white gypsum. Patches of purple and orange appear where different minerals concentrate. The island formed from volcanic activity and mineral-rich sediment deposited over millions of years. Erosion exposed those layers, creating a natural palette geologists come here to study. One strange feature is the edible soil. Locals use red powder from certain areas as a spice called gelak, mixing it into bread and traditional foods. The practice goes back generations. Hormuz is only 26 square miles. A single road circles the coastline, passing through the small village where most of the island's few hundred residents live. The Portuguese built a fort here in the early 1500s when Hormuz controlled vital trade routes. The fort still stands in ruins on the northern coast, its red stone walls blending into the landscape. Despite its surreal beauty, Hormuz sees far fewer visitors than it deserves. Most travelers stop at Keshem and never make the crossing. Those who do find an island painted in colors that shouldn't exist together, but somehow do. The tallest peak in Iran rises like a frozen pyramid from the Alborz Mountains. Mount Damavand stands at 18,406 feet, the highest volcano in Asia and the highest point in the Middle East. Its summit is visible from Tehran on clear days, snow-capped even in summer. Damavand is a stratovolcano, built over thousands of years from layers of lava and ash. The last major eruption likely occurred around 5,600 years ago, but the mountain isn't dead. Sulfur vents near the summit release gas that stains the snow yellow. Hot springs bubble up on the lower slopes. In Persian mythology, Damavand is sacred. According to the Shahnameh, Iran's national epic, this is where the hero Feridun imprisoned the tyrant Zahak, a demon king with serpents growing from his shoulders. Climbing Damavand isn't technically difficult, but altitude makes it challenging. Most climbers start from the southern route, ascending through volcanic scree and past fumaroles that hiss steam into the cold air. From the top, the view stretches across northern Iran. The Caspian Sea shimmers to the north. The Alborz range spreads east and west in waves of peaks. On the clearest days, you can see 200 miles in every direction. The mountain has its own weather system. Storms form suddenly. Winds at the summit can exceed 60 miles per hour. For Iranians, summiting the mountain carries cultural weight. It's not just a climb. It's a connection to myth, history, and national identity. High in the mountains northwest of Tehran, a fortress clings to a cliff that seems impossible to reach. Alamut Castle sits at 6,500 feet above sea level, perched on a narrow rock outcrop overlooking the Alamut Valley. For centuries, it was nearly invisible, hidden among peaks, and accessible only by steep trails. The castle became legendary in the 11th and 12th centuries as the stronghold of the Assassins, a secretive Ismaili sect led by Hassan-i Sabah. From here, they controlled a network of fortresses across northern Iran, launching strikes against kings and caliphs who threatened their survival. The name, Assassin, itself comes from this place. Alamut inspired fear across the region. Rulers knew that angering the assassins could mean death, delivered by agents who moved unseen. The castle fell to the Mongols in 1256. They destroyed much of it, scattering the library and dismantling the defenses. What remains now are ruins, broken walls, the outline of towers, foundations that once held hundreds of people. Reaching Alamut today requires a steep hike from the valley below. The trail climbs through rocky terrain, passing villages where life moves at the same pace it has for centuries. From the ruins, the view opens across the Alamut Valley. Steep canyons cut between mountains. Almond trees bloom in spring. Morning fog fills the low places. The fortress itself is mostly gone, but standing on the outcrop where it once commanded the region, you understand why it was built here. The location alone was a defense. Some places are ancient, others are alive. Kandavan is both. This village in East Azerbaijan province looks like something from a fantasy film. Cone-shaped homes carved directly into volcanic rock rise from the hillside, the result of ancient lava flows from nearby Mount Sahand. Unlike similar sites in Turkey's Cappadocia, people still live here. Not as a museum, but as actual homes passed down through generations. Around 150 families call Kandovan home. The stone acts as natural insulation, cool in summer, warm in winter. Many homes have multiple floors carved vertically into the cone. Some have electricity, running water, and Wi-Fi running through 700-year-old rock walls. The village dates back at least 800 years, possibly older. Local legend says people fled here to hide from Mongol invaders, carving homes into the soft volcanic rock for shelter. The rock was easy to carve, but hardened over time, creating structures that have lasted centuries. A natural spring flows through the village, believed by locals to have healing properties, especially for kidney issues. Visitors fill bottles to take the water home. Kandovan isn't large. A few narrow paths wind through the rock formations. Every angle offers a new perspective. Chimneys rising from cone tops, doorways carved into cliff faces, stairs climbing between homes stacked vertically. Tourism has arrived, but it hasn't changed the village's character. Locals still live their lives, tend small gardens, raise livestock. The caves remain homes first, attractions second. Standing in Kandovan, you're witnessing something rare, a way of life that adapted to the landscape centuries ago and never stopped. This isn't what most people picture when they think of Iran. On the southern edge of the Caspian Sea, the landscape flips entirely. Gone are the deserts and mountains. Here, it's rice fields, humid air, and misty hills that feel closer to Southeast Asia than the Middle East. The Mazandaran and Gilan provinces sit between the Alborz Mountains and the sea, creating a narrow strip of lush subtropical land. Villages are built on stilts to survive seasonal flooding. Markets overflow with smoked fish, pickled garlic, and tea grown on nearby slopes. The Caspian Sea itself is the largest enclosed inland body of water on Earth, covering 143,000 square miles. Iran controls the southern coast, a stretch of beaches and fishing towns that see little international attention. On hot summer days, locals crowd the beaches in cities like Ramsar and Bandar Anzali. The water is calm, warmer than the ocean. Families set up umbrellas, vendors sell grilled corn, and the shoreline fills with relaxed energy. Turn inland and the landscape changes. Forests climb the mountain slopes. Waterfalls pour down rocky cliffs. Ancient cemeteries hide among trees, their gravestones covered in moss. The region's climate is unique in Iran. Humidity hangs in the air year-round. Rain falls frequently. The greenery is so thick that sunlight barely reaches the forest floor in some areas. This is Iran's agricultural heartland. Rice paddies stretch for miles, flooded and planted in perfect rows. Tea plantations blanket hillsides, their leaves harvested by hand. The Caspian coast doesn't shout. It offers itself quietly, in rain-soaked forests and fog-filled valleys, in a version of Iran most outsiders never see. Deep within those hills stand trees older than human civilization. The Hyrcanian forests stretch along the southern coast of the Caspian Sea, covering over 21,000 square miles across Iran and Azerbaijan. They've existed for more than 50 million years, making them one of the oldest surviving temperate forests on the planet. In prehistoric times, similar forests covered much of Europe and Asia. Climate change and ice ages wiped most of them out. These survived, isolated between mountains and sea, protected by geography that kept them hidden from the worst of the Ice Age. Inside, the forest feels primordial. Oak, beech, hornbeam, and species found nowhere else on Earth grow in thick canopy layers. Fog clings to the ground most mornings. Moss covers everything. Tree trunks, fallen logs, rocks half buried in leaf litter. Birds migrate through here by the thousands. Persian leopards still roam the higher elevations, though sightings are rare. The forest itself is the main attraction, a living relic from when dinosaurs still walk the earth. UNESCO designated the Hyrcanian forests a World Heritage Site in 2019, but they remain relatively unknown compared to rainforests in South America or Southeast Asia. Trails here are often muddy. Weather changes fast, but the air is rich with oxygen and the scent of wet leaves. Scientists study these forests to understand how ecosystems survive across geological time. The trees here witness the rise and fall of empires, the movement of continents, climate shifts that erased entire species elsewhere. Walking through the Hyrcanian forest, you're stepping into a world that predates almost everything humans have built. The quiet is absolute, the green is endless, and somewhere in those trees is a fortress that shouldn't exist. You don't see it at first. You hike through trees, climb old stone steps worn smooth by centuries of use, and then suddenly, the forest opens and the castle appears. Rudkhan Castle sits hidden in the Green Mountains of Gilan province, one of the most impressive fortresses in Iran. Built during the Sassanid era and expanded in the 11th century, it sits at 2,300 feet above sea level. The castle wasn't meant to be found easily. Its walls stretch for over 4,900 feet, connecting 42 watchtowers that wind through the forest like a stone serpent. In some places, the walls follow natural ridges. In others, they cut across valleys, bridging gaps with arches that still stand after 1,000 years. Reaching Rudkhan today takes about an hour of uphill hiking. The trail passes waterfalls, streams, and terrain so thick with vegetation, it feels more like a jungle than a mountain forest. The air is humid. Moss covers the stones. Every step is slippery. But the effort is worth it. The castle itself is massive, its brick walls rising from the hillside in layers. Towers mark strategic points where defenders could watch the valleys below. Gates lead through passages designed to trap attackers in narrow spaces. The fortress is mostly ruins now, but enough remains to show how formidable it once was. Standing on the walls, looking out over the forest canopy stretching in all directions, you understand why it was built here. This wasn't just defense, it was dominance. Control of the forest meant control of the region, and Rudkhan controlled it for centuries. For centuries, Tabriz was the beating heart of northwestern Iran. The city sits in East Azerbaijan province, a crossroads where Turkish, Persian, and Armenian cultures collided and mixed. It was the capital of multiple dynasties, the starting point of Silk Road caravans, and a place where trade shaped everything. The Tabriz Bazaar is the city's soul. One of the largest covered markets in the world, it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site that stretches over 4 miles through interconnected corridors. The architecture is stunning. Brick vaults rise overhead, arched ceilings create natural airflow, and light filters through openings designed centuries ago. Walking through the bazaar feels like moving through a maze with no beginning or end. Corridors branch off into smaller alleys. Shops sell carpets stacked to the ceiling, copper pots hammered by hand, spices glowing in shades of red and yellow. Tea houses hide in corners where men sit for hours, drinking, talking, watching the flow of people. The bazaar isn't just commerce, it's architecture, history, and social life compressed into one space. Caravanserais that once sheltered traveling merchants now house workshops. The same families have operated shops here for generations, selling goods their grandfathers sold. Not far from the bazaar stands the Blue Mosque, once called the Turquoise of Islam. Built in the 15th century, it was one of the most beautiful mosques in Iran. Then, an earthquake in 1779 destroyed much of it. What remains shows what was lost. The entrance portal still stands, covered in intricate blue tilework that gives the mosque its name. Inside, sections of wall display calligraphy and geometric patterns so detailed they look painted rather than carved from tile. Restoration work continues, but slowly. The mosque will never return to its original glory, but even in ruin, the craftsmanship is undeniable. Tabriz doesn't advertise itself. It exists in the everyday rhythm of the bazaar, in tea poured and deals made, in a city that has always been more concerned with trade than tourism. West of Tabriz lies a lake that's disappearing. Lake Urmia, located between Tabriz and Urmia city, was once the largest saltwater lake in the Middle East. It covered over 2,000 square miles, almost the size of Delaware. But over the last few decades, the lake has shrunk by more than 80%. Dam construction, irrigation, and climate change drained the water. What remains now is a fraction of what existed. Vast salt flats stretch where water once shimmered. Old piers stand in the middle of cracked earth, miles from the current shoreline. When water does remain, it often turns blood red. The color comes from salt-loving algae and bacteria that thrive in the extreme salinity. From above, the lake looks like a wound in the landscape, patches of crimson water surrounded by white salt crusts. The ecological damage is severe. The lake once supported flamingos, pelicans, and other migratory birds. Most have disappeared. Dust storms now carry salt from the exposed lakebed across the region, damaging farmland and affecting air quality in nearby cities. Efforts are underway to save the lake. Rivers have been redirected, water quotas imposed, but the outcome remains uncertain. Some scientists believe the lake can recover if action continues. Others think it's already too late. Standing at the edge of Urmia, you're looking at a warning. The lake doesn't just show environmental failure, it shows how quickly landscapes can change when water runs out. And yet, even in decline, Urmia remains visually striking. The salt formations glow white under the sun. The red water creates patterns that shift with the wind. It's beautiful in a way that feels wrong, like watching something die slowly. "2,500 years ago, the most powerful empire on Earth built a city meant to last forever. Persepolis rises from the desert plains northeast of Shiraz, a complex of palaces, halls, and staircases carved from stone and ambition. It was the ceremonial capital of the Persian Empire under Darius the Great and his successors, a place where kings from across the known world came to pay tribute. The scale is overwhelming. Massive stone columns still stand, some reaching over 60 feet high. Relief carvings cover the walls, showing processions of tribute bearers from 23 nations: Babylonians, Egyptians, Indians, Greeks, all carrying gifts to the Persian king. The craftsmanship is extraordinary. Stone carved with precision that modern tools would struggle to match. Figures of lions, bulls, and mythical creatures emerge from the rock in perfect detail. After 2.5 millennia, the carving is still sharp enough to see individual feathers on wings and folds in clothing. Persepolis wasn't built to be lived in. It was built to impress. Kings held ceremonies here once a year during Nowruz, the Persian New Year, when delegates from across the empire gathered to renew their loyalty. Then, Alexander the Great arrived in 330 BC. His army burned Persepolis to the ground, whether accidentally or deliberately. Historians still debate. What remains now are ruins, but even in ruin, the power is undeniable. The main entrance, the Gate of All Nations, still stands. Two massive stone bulls flank the doorway, their faces worn smooth by wind and time. Beyond it, the Apadana Palace spreads across the platform, its columns marking where a roof once covered one of the largest halls in the ancient world. Walking through Persepolis, you're stepping over stones that emperors walked on. The staircase leading to the platform is carved at an angle gentle enough that horses could climb it. Imagine processions moving up these steps, banners flying, thousands of people watching. UNESCO designated Persepolis a World Heritage Site in 1979. Archaeologists are still working here, still uncovering pieces of a civilization that shaped how empires were built for centuries after it fell. The site sits empty most days. A few tourists, some local guides, and the ruins standing silent under the desert sun. But the stones remember when this place was the center of the world. An hour southwest of Persepolis sits Shiraz, a city that calls itself the cultural heart of Iran. For centuries, Shiraz was known for poetry, gardens, and wine. Two of Persia's greatest poets, Hafez and Saadi, lived and wrote here. Their tombs still draw visitors who come to read verses carved into stone and leave poems of their own. But the city's most stunning sight appears only in the morning. Nasir al-Mulk Mosque was built in the late 1800s during the Qajar dynasty. From the outside, it looks like most Persian mosques: tiled domes, arched entrances, geometric patterns covering the walls. Step inside at dawn, and the building transforms. The mosque's southern wall is filled with stained glass windows. When morning light pours through them, the interior explodes into color. Red, blue, yellow, purple light spills across the floor, painting the prayer hall in patterns that shift as the sun climbs higher. The effect lasts maybe 2 hours before the angle changes and the colors fade. Photographers arrive before sunrise to catch it. Locals call it the Pink Mosque because of the rose-colored tiles covering the exterior, but inside, every color exists at once. The stained glass wasn't just decoration, it served a purpose. Persian architects used light as a building material, designing spaces where sunlight became part of the architecture itself. Shiraz also holds some of Iran's most famous gardens. Aram Garden, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, dates back to the 11th century. Cypress trees tower over reflecting pools. Roses bloom in carefully planned rows. The garden was designed as a physical representation of paradise, following ancient Persian garden principles: water, shade, symmetry, and scent. Bagh-e Naranjestan, the citrus garden, is smaller but equally detailed. Built in the 19th century, it served as the residence for a wealthy family. The building's exterior is covered in intricate tilework and mirrored mosaics. Inside, rooms are decorated with painted ceilings, showing scenes from Persian mythology. Shiraz moves at a different pace than Tehran. Cafes fill with students and poets. Markets sell spices, textiles, and hand-painted miniatures. The city hasn't forgotten its reputation as a place where art and beauty matter more than speed. Evening brings crowds to the tombs of Hafez and Saadi. People sit in the gardens surrounding the monuments, reading poetry aloud, debating interpretations, continuing traditions that go back centuries. Shiraz doesn't shout. It offers itself quietly in morning light through stained glass. In gardens designed 800 years ago, in verses written by poets who understood that some things outlast empires. There's a saying in Persian, Isfahan is half the world. This city in central Iran became the capital of the Safavid Empire in the late 1500s. For over a century, it was one of the wealthiest and most beautiful cities on earth. The heart of Isfahan is Naksh-e Jahan Square, one of the largest public squares in the world. Built by Shah Abbas I in the early 1600s, it stretches over 1,500 feet on each side. UNESCO designated it a World Heritage Site. 4 monuments anchor the square's corners. On the south side sits the Shah Mosque. Its entrance portal rises over 90 feet, covered entirely in blue and turquoise tiles that shift color depending on the light. The tilework shows individual flowers, vines, and calligraphy woven into geometric patterns. The portal faces the square, but the prayer hall behind it is rotated 45 degrees to face Mecca. A twisting corridor turns you without noticing, so when you enter the main hall, you're facing the right direction. The acoustics inside are extraordinary. Stand under the central dome and speak. Your voice echoes back multiplied, amplified by the dome's shape. Architects designed it so the imam's voice would carry across the entire hall without shouting. On the west side stands Sheikh Lotfola Mosque, smaller but arguably more beautiful. Built as a private mosque for the royal family, it has no minarets and no courtyard. The dome is what makes it unforgettable. From outside, it glows cream and pale pink. Inside, the tilework creates a peacock tail pattern radiating from the center. As sunlight moves through the day, the colors shift from gold to rose to deep blue. Ali Kapu Palace sits on the western edge, a 6-story building that served as the imperial residence. The top floor holds the music room, where walls are carved into the shapes of vases and instruments. The cutouts improved the room's acoustics for musicians performing for the Shah. Beyond the square, Isfahan reveals itself in layers. The 33-arch bridge crosses the Zayandeh River on 33 arches. Built in 1602, it's both a bridge and a public space. At night, lights illuminate the arches, and people gather on the walkways to talk and drink tea. Kaju Bridge, built decades later, is more ornate. Its 2 levels include pavilions where the Shah once sat to watch the river. The bridge doubles as a dam, with sluice gates controlling water flow. Isfahan's bazaar runs for miles under vaulted brick ceilings. Shops sell carpets, spices, copperwork, and miniature paintings. The smell shifts constantly: cardamom, rosewater, leather, tea. The city still functions as it did centuries ago. Craftsmen hammer copper in the same workshops their grandfathers used. Calligraphers practice scripts unchanged for 500 years. Isfahan doesn't feel like a museum. It feels alive, operating on rhythms set centuries ago, but never abandoned. The square fills with families at dusk. Children run across the grass. Vendors sell ice cream. The mosques light up, their tiles glowing against the darkening sky. Isfahan earned its nickname not by being half the world, but by containing so much beauty in one place that it felt like enough. In the heart of Iran's central desert sits a city built entirely from mud. Yazd is one of the oldest continuously inhabited cities on Earth, with settlements dating back over 3,000 years. It survived because it learned to work with the desert rather than fight it. The old town is a maze of narrow alleyways winding between earthen walls. Buildings rise 2 or 3 stories, all made from sun-dried mud bricks that blend into the desert landscape. From above, the city looks like it grew from the ground itself, a uniform tan broken only by the blue domes of mosques. Yazd pioneered technologies that made desert life possible. The city is famous for its wind towers, badgirs, tall structures that catch wind and funnel it down into buildings, cooling rooms without electricity. Some towers rise over 50 feet. They've been doing the job for centuries. Underground, a network of qanats brings water from distant mountains through gravity-fed tunnels. The system is ancient, some channels over 2,000 years old, still functioning, still delivering fresh water to a city that receives almost no rain. But Yazd's real significance isn't architectural, it's spiritual. This is one of the last strongholds of Zoroastrianism, one of the world's oldest monotheistic religions. Before Islam arrived in Iran, Zoroastrianism was the dominant faith of the Persian Empire. It shaped how people thought about good and evil, heaven and hell, concepts that later influenced Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Today, only a small community of Zoroastrians remains in Iran, many of them in Yazd. The Atashkadeh, or Fire Temple, sits in the city center. Inside, a sacred fire has burned continuously for over 1,500 years. Never extinguished, tended by priests who maintain traditions older than most religions still practice today. The fire sits behind glass in a bronze vessel. Visitors can view it, but not approach. For Zoroastrians, fire represents purity, divine light, the presence of Ahura Mazda, the supreme god. Outside the city, the towers of silence rise from rocky hills. These are dakmas, circular stone structures where Zoroastrians once placed their dead. The religion considers earth, fire, and water sacred, so burial or cremation would defile these elements. Instead, bodies were left exposed to the sun and scavenging birds. The practice stopped decades ago under government pressure, but the towers remain. Climbing to one offers a view across the desert, the city spreading below, wind towers rising like sentinels across the rooftops. Yazd doesn't shout about its history, it lives it. The old methods still work, the fire still burns. The wind towers still cool homes in summer heat that exceeds 100 degrees. Walking through Yazd feels like stepping into a city that refused to modernize in ways that would erase what made it function. Motorcycles navigate the same alleys donkeys used centuries ago. Shops sell sweets made from recipes passed down for generations. The city holds on to something most places lost, a clear sense of identity rooted in adaptation, survival, and faith that predates empires. Yazd is a reminder that some things don't need to change to remain relevant. Sometimes the old ways are the ones that last. Tehran is a city of contradictions. Over 13 million people live here, packed into a sprawling metropolis that climbs from the desert plains into the foothills of the Alborz Mountains. It's Iran's political, economic, and cultural center, but it's also chaotic, polluted, and overwhelming. The city wasn't always the capital. That honor belonged to Isfahan, then Shiraz, before Tehran rose to prominence in the late 1700s. Today, it dominates the country in ways no other city can match. The metro system is one of the busiest in the Middle East, moving millions of people daily through tunnels that stretch under the entire city. Stations are clean, efficient, and surprisingly modern. Above ground, traffic is legendary. Rush hour turns highways into parking lots. Motorcycles weave through lanes with inches to spare. Tehran is a city of paradoxes. Women in colorful hijabs walk past glass skyscrapers. Street vendors sell saffron rice and kebabs beside high-end shopping malls. Traditional tea houses operate next to cafes serving espresso and Wi-Fi. The Azadi Tower stands at the city's western entrance, built in 1971 to commemorate 2,500 years of Persian monarchy. Its white travertine stone rises over 140 feet, combining Islamic and pre-Islamic architectural styles into a structure that's become the city's symbol. The Grand Bazaar sprawls across miles of covered corridors, one of the oldest and largest in Iran. It's less polished than the bazaars in Isfahan or Tabriz, more chaotic, louder, but it's also more alive. This is where Tehran conducts its business, away from the modern shopping centers. The Golistan Palace sits in the city's historic center, a remnant of the Qajar dynasty. Its mirrored halls and tilework show what royal Tehran looked like before modernization swept it away. UNESCO designated it a World Heritage Site in 2013. But Tehran isn't defined by monuments, it's defined by motion. The city never stops. Markets open before dawn. Traffic flows until midnight. People work, eat, argue, negotiate, all at a pace that feels frantic compared to the rest of the country. The mountains to the north offer escape. Tochal Peak rises over 12,000 feet, accessible by cable car from the city's edge. In winter, people ski. In summer, they hike. The air is cleaner up there, the noise distant. Tehran doesn't invite you to love it. It challenges you to understand it. A city caught between tradition and modernity, between reverence for the past and hunger for the future, operating at a speed that never slows down. Iran doesn't fit into one story. It's desert and rainforest, ancient ruins and modern cities, silence and noise. Empires rose and fell here, leaving layers of history so deep they're impossible to count. The country holds contradictions without apology. Fire temples operate beside mosques. Skiers descend volcanoes while tourists swim in the Persian Gulf. Villages carved into rock stand next to highways connecting cities of millions. Iran reveals itself slowly, only to those willing to look beyond headlines and assumptions. Some places you visit and leave behind. Iran stays with you. In the taste of saffron and pomegranate, in the blue tiles of Isfahan, or the red soil of Hormuz. In the memory of standing in Persepolis, where stones still carry the weight of an empire that shaped the world. The roads here don't end. They just lead somewhere unexpected. And once Iran lets you in, you'll spend the rest of your life trying to understand what you saw.